Hey, thanks for joining me for another Java with John episode. Very much appreciated. Cup of coffee. Sorry, it is not a Ractigino. It's just my regular coffee, a little sweetener, a little milk. Still very tasty and delicious. A Ractigino would be good, and if you don't know what that is, ask a Trekker. Or send me an email. I'll tell you what it is. I was actually at one of my favorite coffee places over the weekend and over a conversation with some adults, mid to late 20s, and ended up talking with them. And what caught my ear is that two of them were picking on one for not having enough money to cover some expenses because they overbought stuff. And I asked them, how do you do in your budget? And it turns out none of them had ever been shown how to do a basic household budget. And I learned how to do a budget myself when I was in my late teens, running my own summertime business. Every household, every business, every person needs a budget. No budget means you can run out of money. No money for emergencies, no money for new TV, vacations, gifts. You kind of get the idea. You can manage what you can monitor. The budget's the easiest way to do it. So, basic household budget. And I'm going to do like legendary football coach Vince Lombardi, started every training camp with the basics. Returning player, new trainee. So here are the basics. 2 parts to a budget. Income, expense. The goal is to have more coming in than going out. And yes, I know it's difficult in the 2024 economy to do this. So the income can be your paycheck, salary, if you get an allowance, if you're young enough from your parents, that's what that would be. Could be a fixed amount, as I said, like a salary. Could be variable. If you're an hourly employee paid by the hour, that might fluctuate. If you're commission-based sales, that might fluctuate. And if you're in the restaurant business, tips are your commission. It's the reason why you upsell and suggestive sell all the time, build up your commission. So just keep that in mind as well. Basically, income is anything that puts money in your hand. Hopefully, they're all legal ways to do that. So then there's the expense side. Priority expenses, your mortgage or rent, electricity, water, telephone, groceries, savings and emergency account, which I'll get into in a bit, gas or transportation if you take a bus, whatever it might be. If you have kids, money for school lunches, school programs, taxes, which we all have to pay, for good or for bad. Pet food, if you have pets, you kind of get the idea. Beer and wine, going out to eat, birthday gifts, donations to charities, they're all discretionary, they're optional. So these are things that would be secondary to your immediate expenses. So basically an expense is anything goes from your hand to somebody else. That's what an expense is. Now, savings accounts are mandatory. Like I said, I'm going to get into that in a little bit. And I hate to say this, but it's true. Coffee is discretionary. And I don't need coffee to stay awake. I just enjoy my cup of coffee. So if I had to quit, I had to quit. Anyway, first thing, I mentioned if you can manage what you monitor, you got to track your income and expenses. Not only track what you're doing, check what's coming in, what your future would be. Projections. That's what we call it. That would be your budget side. Some people put cash in envelopes, rent, mortgage, groceries. When the cash is gone, you spent all you can for the month. That's it. It's a good way to keep track of it. I don't do it that way. So all I'm doing is showing you how I do it. You figure out a way what works best for you, of course. But you got to keep a record, as I said. And even the envelopes are a record. Your budget is what the cash you put in the envelope. Once it's spent, it's spent. Never go over budget that way. Easy budget. sheet of paper, spreadsheet, some big fancy software, however you want to do it. If you get a sheet of paper, lined paper works the best. And what you're going to do is you're going to put it in 4 different columns, and I've got an example here for you. So if you pause the video, kind of take a closer look to see what I'm talking about. So just to give you an idea. One of the most important necessities of expenses is your savings and your emergency fund. 2 different things, just so you're aware. For your savings, 5% of your paycheck, your net take home, needs to go into a savings account. That'd be ideal. Okay, so that's basically $5 for every 100 you're making. If you can only do $1 for every 100, if you can only do $20 a month, do what you can. Something is better than nothing, and it will all add up. An emergency fund, savings, okay, savings you can use. I'll talk more about that too. The emergency fund you do not touch. It is for what? You got it. An emergency. This way, when you have a flat tire, now you've got the money to replace it, so it's an inconvenience rather than a panic attack. The emergency fund should have at least $1,000 in it. I know others have said that too. And in the real world scenario, considering what we went through with the pandemic and just the way the life goes, unfortunately, you may want to have as much as 4 months or more money saved to cover your monthly expenses. So I'll pick an arbitrary number. If you've got $5,000 in monthly expenses, you're going to need, $20,000 in the bank account just in case. So just putting it out there. If you got $1,000 in monthly expenses, you need $5,000 in the bank. Emergency fund only. Just keep that in mind. And yes, I do know it's difficult to do this here, this economy. Your savings account, that's money that you have to use in the future for other things. Now, one of the things, if you looked at my spreadsheet, my budget sheet, I had a line item for birthday and Christmas gifts. What I do is all the gifts I'm going to buy for a whole year, I divide that by 12, and that's a dollar amount extra I have to put into my savings account every month to cover the cost of the gifts. That's in addition to the 3-5% I'm already saving. Hopefully the economy gets better in January 2025, so it'll be easier to do all of this. If you have pets, you're going to want to do the same. Not going to take the cat to the veterinarian every year for checkup and shots. I got a ballpark idea on what that's going to be. So every month I put a little away to cover the cost of that, in addition to his food, treats, litter, things like that. If you have children, school costs, that's primary, but you're also going to save money for future school trips. If they're going to go to a trade school or a college, you're going to want to be able to put money aside for that. You're going to have to figure out how much that would be to set that aside. And you're also going to decide if that should be a primary or a secondary expense. Discretionary, again, is going out to eat, ordering pizza, buying a video game, things like that. If you're putting enough into savings, when you want to go out for a pizza, when you want to go out for eat, you got the money. I'm saving money for a new Xbox. Mine's 6 years old. I've started saving for a new one. Life goals. So this way it's not, this way I don't have to worry about where the money's coming from. So at the end of the month, end of the year, what you're going to want to do is you want to take your actual income, because now you know how much you're going to do every month, set aside. But now you got to record how much you actually spent on rent, on food, on the cat, on the kids, on your puppy, going out to eat, whatever it might be. You subtract your income or expense from your budget. That's what's known as your variance. Is it a negative number, positive number? You're going to want to do that at the end of the month too. Positive number, actual income minus actual expense. That's positive, you did good. It's a negative, either spent too much, not making enough money, or both. One of the two. Things happen. We all overspend on occasion. If you got a savings account, no need to panic. So, but by tracking each individual item to make sure you're not going over, your end of the month total should be okay. So, but you want to have as little debt as possible. You're going to need a little bit of debt because we run things on credit. It happens, and not everything can be bought cash only in certain situations. I mean, certainly if you can buy a car all cash, best way to go in my opinion. So, but running out of money, running low on money is like running low on oxygen. That's when you panic. And out of everything that happens in the universe, health and financial issues are the biggest stress causers that all of us go through. Divorce, marriage, kids, there's other things too, but financial stress is one of the bigger things. So if you can manage your budget the proper way, you're going to relieve yourself a lot of worry, a lot of stress, and you're going to be able to have the life and lifestyle you want. I included a copy of my budget spreadsheet, a blank one and a sample, on ccbizadvisors.com under the resource menu item, ccbizadvisors.com. So take a look if you need it. There's hundreds of them out there. If you're going to use Google Docs or Microsoft Office, there's samples and budgets out there you can use, and just use that sheet of paper however you want to do it. But please start making a budget, because I don't want you to have any more stress in life than life already throws at you. So I'm going to finish up my cup of coffee because I had the discretionary funds to be able to buy it. So thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day, great week, and a great rest of the year.